Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. My name is Montina Myers Galloway. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I am a mental health consultant, and I am the owner of Myers Galloway Counseling, a private mental health practice in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are dedicated to helping Black women heal from the negative mental health impact of parentification and unhealthy caregiving. And for nearly 10 years, my team and I have provided over 3,800 hours of therapy and helped over 250 women, Black women, along their healing journeys. So I'm excited to be here this morning. As a mental health consultant and strategist, I specialize in helping emerging Black women leaders in outpatient care prevent burnout, heal from unhealthy caregiving, and reclaim their well being using my Power Blueprint framework. And I would like to officially welcome you to the Power Lab. And the Power Lab will be my weekly video series that is designed for Black women leaders in outpatient care who are navigating the weight of leadership and unhealthy caregiving patterns. So, the Power Lab is going to be your opportunity to explore, to test, and apply some simple strategies to your real life. Okay. So, what that means is if you are a practice manager, or if you are a clinical supervisor, a healthcare director, or a nurse manager, you are going to want to tune in each week for tips on emotional labor, sustainable well being in leadership. We're going to be talking about the reality of burnout and overextending yourself, and being the fixer both at work and at home. So, here in the Power Lab, we are going to be exploring how to lead with confidence and well being, but without sacrificing yourself in the process. So you're going to want to stay until the end because I have something very, very special for you. But in the meantime, grab your pen. You can pull out the notes app on your phone, or, maybe you need to block out time on your calendar to watch this replay. But because we're going to get to work. So let's dive into today's topic. All right. So the first topic of the Power Lab, we are going to be talking about emotional labor. So, in case you have not heard of the term, right? Previously, emotional labor was known as, and it was defined as the process of regulating or managing your emotions and your expressions, right, as a part of your professional workload or work role only. So, they primarily considered emotional labor the things that you would have to do at work, the ways that you manage your emotions at work to get your job done. But now the term has been widened to consider the entire context, right? Because things have changed, society has changed, life has changed. Um, but now the term is considered and defined as the mental and emotional effort of managing your own feelings while also tending to the emotional needs and expectations of others. So today, um, we're managing multiple things, right? Multiple roles. And some of us are even doing double and triple duty caregiving while we are caring for multiple people in multiple different ways. And that has a huge impact. So for a second, I would like you to picture this, right? You're at home, you're in your family, your everyday, the people who are closest to you, and you are the go-to person for everyone, whether it's checking in on family members' feelings or on their health or making sure that they have everything they need, stepping in to resolve disputes and conflicts. You're always kind of holding everything together. You're carrying the emotional load in that scenario. You're taking care of um, all aspects of it. But who is taking care of you? Who's checking on you? So you're in that situation, you might be considered the emotional anchor, what I like to call the linchpin, kind of in the middle, holding everything together, but it wears you down. Or another example could be, as a leader, right? You are the person who keeps your team motivated, even when things get tough. You push other people through stressful situations and encouraging them to keep going and guiding them through challenges, all while hiding your own exhaustion. Um, that's a lot, right? So in that scenario, you put on a brave face, just because they are looking to you for strength, but deep inside, you're drained. That definitely takes a toll, and there's no one really around to help you carry that weight. So, this is what emotional labor looks like. It is often overlooked, and it weighs you down. It's exhausting and it's constant, but it often does not get the recognition in mainstream society or in industries or in certain circles. It doesn't get the same recognition that it deserves as a key impact of a part of the job or a part of who we are, actually. But the truth is that you do not have to go through this alone, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the two different types of, or the two different ways or levels of emotional labor, the ways that we can express it, right? Whether it be facial expressions or body language. The first way is called acting. And so deep acting simply just means you feel and you show the intended emotion in any given situation. But there's another aspect that's called surface acting, where essentially that just means like you're faking it, right? So you at work, and you show the required emotion without actually feeling the emotion that you're showing. So essentially, that looks like you putting on a fake smile just to get through the day, just to get through the conversation, just to get through the transaction. So again, the two types and two levels of expression when it comes to emotional labor: deep acting and surface acting. So again, deep acting, it's when you truly feel the emotion that you're trying to express. It's not about putting on a face or aligning what you feel. It's about internally aligning what you feel to what you show. um, Essentially, I like to think about that as alignment, right? Like the situation is calling for this expression and you are aligned or congruent with what you feel and the situation at hand. So this might happen if you're in a leadership role where you are trying to motivate me, and though you're feeling exhausted and stressed, with deep acting, you'll be able to tap into that emotion and genuinely show it. So, some people believe that as a leader, you shouldn't show stress or you shouldn't show vulnerability. But in actuality, it is completely healthy to do so. So, then on the other hand, surface acting is when you are putting on a mask, essentially. You're showing the emotion that's expected or required, but you are not truly feeling that inside. And a lot of the times that happens when people are just trying to get through the day. It can feel like you're faking it, and it's often necessary in certain situations, like handling difficult family conversations, or let's say you're at work and you're trying to navigate a conflict. Um, but the challenge with surface acting is that it takes a lot of effort to do that. The term that's coming to my mind is like some people say, fake it till you make it. It sounds like it costs you to fake it till you make it. It costs you mentally, physically, and emotionally because you're not really being authentically yourself. Both types of emotional labor drain you, right? So there's no secret that being in a role as a caregiver or a leader of a team, that costs you. And there are certain industries and sectors and roles that have higher emotional labor than others. But right, so Um, they both require energy that could be spent on other aspects of your life, like staying connected to your family, doing the fun things that you like to do, just being present in your own life. So now let's talk about how to protect yourself from the detrimental emotional exhaustion that can come as a result of emotional labor. Um, and I want you to remember a couple things about emotional labor. In reality, right? Emotional, no matter what you might think or no matter what society might say, in reality, emotional labor is just as much effort as physical labor. It's invisible and it's also greatly undervalued. You don't really get paid for emotional labor. And it's most often expected and offloaded to women. The next thing I want you to remember about emotional labor is that if emotional labor leading to emotional exhaustion if it's prolonged and if it goes unchecked, it can lead to burnout, anxiety, depression, and even more significant, like episodic emotional disorders like recurring mood swings, intense emotional distress over time, and more frequent occurrences of intense emotional distress over time. So you know, it's invisible, but there's definitely an impact to our mind, bodies, and our souls. It harms your physical health if it is not properly managed and properly paid attention to. So let's talk about the connection between emotional labor and occupational hazards, right? Because again, this is important for practice managers, even people who provide direct care to patients. Um, different roles provide different roles and professional categories have varying levels of emotional labor. So, because of the role that you are in, you might be impacted differently than a colleague of yours, depending on the nature of your role. And so, there could be varying levels of occupational hazards or making it unsafe for you and making it unsafe for those that you work with if these things go unchecked. So, for example, let's say you're a practice manager and you're balancing the staff needs, you're balancing the patient needs and administrative responsibilities. So, essentially, you are absorbing the stress from all of those different aspects. Let's say you are a health director, right? You, in that role as health director, are responsible for big picture strategy. You're managing the staff morale. You are juggling a lot of different things that can be mentally and physically taxing. So there are high emotional demands that can build up to emotional exhaustion, which also then impacts you mentally and physically, and then it impacts your health. So these things sort of put you at risk for burnout in your job. And so that's really, really important um, for us to remember. So this would not Power Lab without real life application. Okay. So the first thing is that I want you to remember is recognize when you are in a role where there is high emotional labor. And so recognize the signs of when that might be impacting you. So you're going to have to pay attention and pay attention to when you are constantly managing the emotions of others. Pay attention to um, what you are considering as just a part of the job or just who I am or it just comes with the territory. You don't have to automatically accept that. Um, you have to realize that this is a heavy and invisible workload. So recognize the signs of emotional labor. That's number one. Number two, set healthy boundaries. So start establishing emotional boundaries. You do not have to be the one that everybody comes to solve everybody's problems. You don't have to be the one to um, be the go-to person for everybody else's feelings. So create a space, whether that be going on a walk. I often recommend that clients go on a walk, maybe outside of their building or walk around their parking lot. Creating a space in your office, getting a do not disturb sign for your office, but just taking small, intentional, and clear steps to break away and create a space. So again, number one, recognize the signs of emotional labor. Number two, set healthy boundaries. And number three, practice real self-care and seek support. I emphasize the word real self-care because I think we thought that self-care was one thing, but in actuality, it's really about valuing yourself enough to give yourself the things that you need. And it often does not cost money. It really just takes time and intentionality. So incorporate those small practices in your routine that can restore your emotional and mental energy. And so some of this is going to require you to pay attention to how you feel after you engage with a certain person, how you feel after a certain, like, for example, specific meetings or when you go into certain areas. Just sort of pay attention to it so that way you know what to give yourself before, during, and after. Recognizing your own emotional needs is a great first step to preventing burnout. So, again, I'll go over the three real life application things that I want you to remember today. First, recognize the signs of emotional labor. Two, set healthy boundaries. And three, practice real self care and seek support. All right, y'all. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Power Lab. I hope that today's conversation opened up your eyes to the hidden cost of emotional labor and kind of gave you some quick strategies to start protecting your energy. As I mentioned at the beginning, I have something special for you. I would like to invite you to dive deeper into how you can create sustainable well being within your leadership and sustainable practices by incorporating my power blueprint. So, if you are ready to take control of your emotional health, join me for my Power Blueprint webinar on March 18th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be meeting via Zoom. I would love the opportunity to connect with you, to get to know you all, and explore how to implement my Power Blueprint framework into your life and to your leadership. So again, you deserve to lead with confidence without sacrificing yourself. So that means if you are, again, a practice manager, a clinical supervisor, a nurse manager, or a healthcare director, you do not want to miss this opportunity. Okay? Take care. Thank you for tuning in.